Hello everyone and welcome back to our reading of Lands of Legend. Today's chapter, Plato's Paradise. Atlantis is the most famous of the lost lands. The Greek philosopher Plato was the first person to write about this massive continent, which he said lay in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean nearly 12,000 years ago. He described it as a paradise, where the people were wise, highly skilled, and just. The cities carefully organized and well built, and the countryside beautiful. Then, in the space of a single day and a night, disaster struck. A terrific storm hit Atlantis, bringing with it hurricane-force winds and tidal waves. Atlantis and its people sank beneath the ocean's waves, leaving no trace of their existence. This story has given ideas to many writers, poets, movie makers, and painters, but is there any truth in it? Or is Atlantis just everyone's dream of an ideal world, free from all evil? Plato claimed that his descriptions of Atlantis were based on ancient Egyptian writings, but these have never been found. All we do know is that the Egyptian who translated them for Plato did exist. Since then, many explorers have searched the world for remains of Atlantis, saying they have discovered it in the Atlantic, in the Mediterranean Sea, and even in the Pacific. The presence of thick seaweed, which is often a sign of shallow water in the Sargasso Sea area of the Atlantic, has been thought by some people to show that Atlantis may be slowly coming to the surface there. Francis Bacon, the 17th century British philosopher, thought that North America was Atlantis. Olaf Rudbeck, writing at the same time, argued that it was his homeland, Sweden. In the 1800s, a British army officer in India suggested that the British Isles were the remains of the lost land. None of these people, however, has been able to provide any proof to back up their claims. In the 1930s, an American medium, Edgar Cayce, predicted that the western section of Atlantis would reappear near the Bahamas in 1968 or 1969. Strangely enough, in 1968, several underwater rock formations, including what appeared to be ruined buildings and a road, were sighted off Bimini in the Bahamas. Divers went down and discovered the road to be 1 kilometer long and made out of large, square stone blocks. One explanation of this road is that it is a natural rock formation. People who oppose this argument say that the square blocks differ from the rocks found underneath them. There have been many other sightings in this area of the Atlantic, everything from underwater pyramids, like the pyramids of Egypt, to circles of high stones similar to Stonehenge in Britain, has been reported. A long flight of steps has been seen off the coast of Puerto Rico. It has also been claimed that the Russians have found a group of buildings covering 10 acres off the northern coast of Cuba. Even if all these are the remains of Atlantis, how did it disappear so quickly? Plato wrote that Atlantis was destroyed almost overnight by a storm of enormous force. However, scientists argue that it takes millions of years for a large area of land to sink beneath the waves or to rise again. They say that it is impossible for Atlantis to have sunk so quickly or to have started to reappear now. Nevertheless, supporters of the Atlantis theory reply that certain natural events, like an enormous meteor landing from outer space, or a volcanic eruption, have in the past caused such large-scale disasters that stories about them appear in the writings of every people in the world. Perhaps they say the destruction of Atlantis was one of these natural occurrences, and stories about it have been handed down from generation to generation. Well, it's not exactly an accurate depiction of Atlantis. Plato said that the story was passed down to his family by Solon, and the description of Atlantis in his writings portrays it as a wealthy nation, enough to make its people luxurious in their lifestyle, and that they were also brutal imperialistic warmongers. Yes, not exactly free of evil. Well, anyway, that's all for today. We'll be concluding it next time. We'll be concluding this reading next time. See you then!